Okay, so then I first saw this video yesterday. Well, I wouldn't say that I was shocked because there is nothing which could surprise me in Russia any longer, but it is outstanding video and you'll understand why. I'll put subtitles, so we're gonna watch this video with you and you'll understand everything, like the downgrade of the Russian society because of the war and how the part of the Russian society, some of the wives of the soldiers really profit from what is happening and they don't care what might happen to their husbands. It is just one of many examples, and we're gonna dig down to the rabbit hole in general today. So we're not gonna focus on this single video. I'm gonna tell you what really is happening with those black videos. But let's start. Thanks for translation to Alexander from my Telegram channel. And I could translate it myself. I know Russian, but I'll put his translation because it is, I would say, very much correct.
Он идет на СВО, короче, все, я оформляю детей на него. Мы такие вся счастливая пара. Получаю единовременную выплату в виде там 5 миллионов.
Okay, so not the guy receives 5 million rubles, but she got this money from her husband. That's what I understood based on, I know Russian, so I understand her.
Пупсикова.
And she's happy. Her husband is out there in Ukraine and she became the millionaire. Also, she mentioned that they got kids. I don't know whether those kids are from the previous marriage or what, but they may stay without care and father in general.
И это, ежемесячно получаю также выплату, короче, там сколько, 200-300 тысяч.
So 200,000 or 300,000 she receives monthly from the soldier, but it is the usual salary for the Russian soldier, and he sends everything to her. Maybe he wants to take care about the kids. Maybe it was the main reason for him to go to war. Maybe he couldn't find himself in peaceful Russian life. He decided to go and KA some of the people in Ukraine and earn some millions to make her and her kids happy.
Плюс, считайте, какой, блядь, вообще выхлоп охуенный, да? Детский сад, нахуй, льготы. Кто он, блядь? Школа, льготы. Ежемесячная выплата, как, блядь, жена военнослужащая. Как жена военнослужащая.
She's laughing even then she says that she is his wife. Like, it is funny for her. Wow, what a dystopian world is there in Russia?
Блядь, мы вообще заживем, нахуй. Мы на моря поедем, дети. Ребята, блядь, как вы думаете, почему у меня, нахуй, дети разъезжают то по Абхазии, то вот, блядь, еще у одной девочки там мы подкинули денег, вот в Анапу поедем.
Oh my god. So she takes care more about her personal joy, about money, rather than the life of her husband. She wants money, nothing more, nothing less. But at the very end of this video, guys, it's gonna be a knockout, like what she says.
А потом, короче, его там убьют.
I cannot explain this reaction. I mean, she's sick. And it's not just her. There are many of those women who are looking to marry soldiers or just random men to brainwash them, to force them actually to go to the Russian army to earn those millions. It is the scheme which is working in Russia. And she is in the scheme. And it will not end on one husband. No, she'll get more.
Да, дом-то, я не знаю, купим, нет. Потом, короче...
The video cuts here, it's 1 minute and 5 seconds, it's fully available on my Telegram channel with translation from Alexander. Wow. And this was posted a few months ago in one of the Russian podcast studios of Tomsk, I guess. I'll put subtitles for you to understand.
Квартиру. Где мне брать деньги?
Находишь сейчас мужчину, который служит на СВО, он погибает, и ты получаешь 8 миллионов.
Рабочая схема.
Конечно. Сейчас многие так делают. Очень много женщин к нам приходят вот с этими 8 миллионами, покупают какую-то там дешевенькую квартиру.
И ищут опять нового?
Не знаю, не спрашивала. Надо будет задать вопрос.
This is the scheme. It is working in Russia. Many, she said, many women are coming to purchase some of the apartments. And they got money from Russia itself. It is outrageous. It is crazy. This video, by the way, was deleted later on, but it was saved by some of the bloggers. I found it on Max Katz's channel. He spoke about this topic before, but even now it is very relevant, as you may understand. So there is the outrage in the Russian media. Mostly military bloggers say about this issue, about black widows seducing soldiers for death benefits. Sometimes the compensation might be up to $60,000. A lot of money. There is the Russian military blogger Anastasia Kashavarova. Sometimes she says about these stories that the gangs of those women were operating in Russian-occupied regions of Ukraine, where they allegedly seduced Russian soldiers for their money and benefits. Gangs of honey traps were captured in Luhansk, but it is also happening in Russia, full scale. So if a soldier is seriously wounded, he might receive $36,000. If he is totally KIA, $60,000. So for those women, it's more profitable for their husbands not to come home. And yeah, guys, I'm not saying that it is everywhere out there in Russia. Still, there are some of the families, traditional families, with good relations. But the amount of those black widows is growing exponentially. There are more and more stories appear in Russian Z channels saying about this issue. It even sparked to the main Russian propaganda channels, who sometimes blame the behavior of their own citizens, those women. Well, the money that those widows get are so big that there are corruption schemes now in the Russian army itself. This corruption involves zeroing of those husbands. I'll explain you. So here we have the headline: corrupt army officers and black widows are scamming Russian soldiers out their combat pay. So Russian soldiers who signed the contract with the Russian army, they got lots of the payment benefits, initial benefits, salary, and in case of death, their families might get lots of the money. So unsurprisingly, many eager to illegally get their hands on that money, from frontline commanders to women marrying the most vulnerable. So the classical story is like this: a woman, could be pretty woman, is searching for a guy in Russia, a man who earns not a lot of money and who is at the lower part of the Russian social rank. Girl flirts with the guy and forces him, brainwashes, to go to join the Russian army, to sign the contract. At the same time, the local recruitment institution in her city already understands where to send this particular unlucky guy. They send him to the specific unit, to the specific commander who zeroes those husbands. Yeah, sometimes they're just being cancelled on the front lines, but in this case it's very hard to get the evidence, because you need to show to the Russian government to obtain the money that definitely this particular individual is KIA. But if you put the guy to BMP and BMP gets caputed with huge kaboom, there could be nothing left from the guy. So those commanders, they cancel the guys themselves, or tell someone to cancel the guy. So you don't need to look for the body, it is over there, fresh and ready to be presented as the real evidence. And after it, supposed to be said black widow gets her money, and she shares the part of the pie with commander and with recruitment service. And guys, I'm not making those stories up, they're out there in Russia. It is on a massive scale, because Russia has so many losses that it is hard to trace what was internal zeroing in the unit or what was the unsuccessful attack. And some of those women, they marry many of the times. 5 times, it's okay. I heard the record of 8 times. And just multiply 8 by $60,000. It's roughly $500,000, right? And it is just the compensation for the husband loss. There is also the initial contract bonus, up to $20,000 sometimes. That's why the scheme is working so well, and this realtor mentioned that she got lots of the clients' widows. And here Russian Z military bloggers, they're asked to start the investigation against this podcast show and realtor. Why? Like, is it solving the problem, really? It has absolutely nothing to do to the problem itself. The main thing is that the Russian society is sick, and they're using government institutions to profit from the deaths of their so-called loved ones. And this situation also tells why Russia has so many volunteers, because in many of the families who live in poverty in Russia, men are looking to improve their financial state and they sign the contract with the Russian army. Sometimes those men are ex-prisoners or prisoners, alcoholics, drug addicted, and definitely their wives, their loved ones are looking for the final solution, let's say, to obtain the maximum sum of money. In this case, they would not just get the money, but they will get rid of the annoying person in their family circle, who in many of the cases even harmed physically members of the family, kids, wife. It's the normal stuff in Russia. Yeah, in Moscow, St. Petersburg, it's a little different, but the rest of Russia, it lives very badly, and those traditional family institutions, they do not work, which is kind of profitable for the Russian regime, I would say. Everyone got its piece of the pie, those Russian commanders, Black Widows, and the Russian army, because they obtain meat. Some Russian women are so desperate to get those coffin money that they lie about their previous divorce. A resident from Krasnoyarsk Krai, a woman, asked for the money from the government because her previous husband was KIA in the war. In August 2023, it became known that servicemen would not return from the front. They married in 2011 and divorced in 2014. 3 years, but it was enough for her to request the coffin money. Really a desperation. But just imagine this amount of the money. 60,000 sometimes, yeah, dollars for Russia. It is huge. For them, it was risking. Oh, nice. Here we have even subtitles. My husband ended up in Africa as part of Wagner, a pro-Putin private army.
Попал в Африку в составе ЧВК «Вагнер». Обычный штурмовик – это 240 тысяч рублей. Для меня как бы это не сильно большие деньги. С момента, как он прибыл в Мали и до его гибели 1,5 месяца. Последний разговор с моим мужем был за несколько часов до его гибели. И потом смотрю, что у меня в WhatsApp пришло сообщение голосовое. Я открываю, а там аватарка, эмблема ЧВК «Вагнер». Меня зовут такой-то, такой-то. Петр погиб. На самом деле, да, я тоже задаю себе вопрос, за что он погиб. Будем говорить прямо, ради денег. За смерть бойца 5 миллионов. Понятно, что я тут не разгуляюсь. Первый
She is disappointed that just 5 million rubles is the compensation. It's not too much.
месяц после похорон я провела вообще в отключке.
Я как будто не живу
Oh,
больше.
poor
После
girl.
40-го дня я улетела на Мальдивы. Было невыносимо находиться дома. У тебя везде воспоминания. Я делаю все, что поможет мне чувствовать себя живой. И вот, плевать мне, кто там что скажет. Стыдно ли мне за мои фотографии на Мальдивах? Нет, не стыдно. Вот прям совсем нет, потому что я делаю все, что поможет мне чувствовать себя живой. И вот, плевать мне, кто там что скажет. Нравится мне этот жанр, мне есть что показать. Вот, это не значит, что я там какого-то себе папика ищу.
Yeah, I think I already told about her in one of my videos. As far as I remember, it was a long time ago, but nevertheless, it adds something into this big picture for you to understand the real family, traditional family values of Russia. And we're not speaking just about the cases with Black Widows. Also, sometimes I watch the interviews with the Russian prisoners of war in Ukrainian captivity. Usually, interviews are done by Vladimir Zolkin, and there they call the relatives of the soldiers, fathers, mothers, wives, and so on. And in many of the cases, those relatives are concerned about money, which soldier could receive, about payments, about salary. There were a couple of the cases which I saw that relatives were even disappointed to see the Russian soldier is alive, because they were told that the guy was KA already probably, and they gonna receive some of the funds. I honestly, guys, don't understand this stuff, and I have never heard those kind of the stories from Ukraine. It is only happening in Russia, and some relatives, they are brainwashed by the Russian propaganda TV. They say, for example, my son will continue to fight against you Ukrainians. He's my warrior, or the warrior of the God, or something like this. There are the stories, and many relatives, they just refuse to communicate because they are afraid of something, Lots of the stuff is happening with the older generation of Russians, this Soviet mindset, oh, someone is calling me. No, I shouldn't talk to my child because Putin or FSB may harm me. And so basically they don't care about their children, about their husbands. But to be fully honest with you, there are multiple of the cases then relatives really take care about their children, about husbands, about anyone who is in captivity of Ukraine. And some relatives even say, oh, stay there because Russia will send you again to the front lines, and maybe next time you will not be such a lucky person, and they cannot exit. Like, if they're in captivity, they cannot exit their contract. So before in the Wagner army, for example, then they hired those prisoners, it was the contract just for half a year, 6 months, and you are a free guy. From the prisoner to respected Russian hero, Wagner, elite forces. But now it doesn't work like that any longer. The Russian contract is infinite till the end of the special military operation. And Putin says that it finishes, then Russia achieves its military goal in Ukraine. So yeah guys, I wanted to record this video for a very long time dedicated to the black videos, and yesterday's video with that lady recording and laughing on a camera that she expects her husband to be unalived in Ukraine. It really triggered me to speak about this topic, and I think it was interesting for you as well. And guys, if you want to make my job possible, support me on Patreon. The link for my Patreon is in the video description just below. If you can't support me financially, press the like to this video. By doing so, you also help me a lot. I wish you all a peaceful sky wherever you are, and have a great time.